Hi there, and welcome to The Artist's Craft. I am your host, Stacey Cochran, and this week we are on the road at the SIBA Trade Show in Greenville, South Carolina. Now, SIBA is the Southern Independent Booksellers Alliance, and each year they have a trade show that moves around the South from city to city. This year, 2009, we are in Greenville, South Carolina, and so what I'd like to capture is a sense and the spirit of the Southern Independent Booksellers Alliance. So we're going to go inside to the trade show main exhibitor hall and let you guys see a little bit of the sights and sounds inside the exhibitors hall.
But I remember the mariners who kept me in their sight, and I shine for the ship that sailed through the night, through waves, rain, and hurricanes. My beacon burned bright to guide them with the passing of my life.
Hey folks, so we are in the main exhibitors hall here at the SIBA Trade Show 2009 in Greenville, South Carolina, and we've got just a huge amount of activity behind me. What we have in the main exhibitors hall is mostly university presses and publishers, both small and large, from all around the country, who set up booths to show their upcoming books for this fall as well as this winter. So I'm going to pan around and kind of get a shot of a lot of the publishers' booths here in the main exhibitors hall at the SIBA Trade Show.
Who kept me in their sight, and I shine for the ships that sail through the night, through waves, rain, and hurricanes. My beacon burned bright to guide them with the passing of my life. Well, I remember the mariners who kept me in their sight, and I shine for the ship that sailed through the night, through waves, rain, and hurricanes. My beacon burned bright to guide them with the passing of my life, to guide them with the passing of my life.
Novello Festival Press is the only library-funded literary publisher in the country. We are funded and housed at the Public Library of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. We are a publishing project that seeks to publish the works of emerging writers of literary fiction and literary nonfiction, occasionally poetry, from the Carolinas. The Novella Literary Award is given once a year to a book-length work of literary fiction or literary nonfiction. For 5 years running, it is being generously supported with underwriting from the Cold Mountain Foundation. So we're very happy that this year Dale Neal is our winner for his novel Cow Across America.
A pretty simple premise came to me maybe about 10 years ago as I was going through my notes. In the South, there's always this tradition that you're sitting on this porch and some old timers beating you bloody about the ears with these old tales and such. And that was not my experience growing up, and I thought, well, what if someone actually charged for these stories? So the book is about this young boy growing up, and he's at his grandfather's farm, and his grandfather is making him to pay to hear these tall tales. And Dwight Martin, the boy, is never quite sure if these are real tales or not, but the grandfather insists that when he was Dwight's age, back at the turn of the century, he and a friend took a cow and started walking all the way across the country. Well, it came out of the blue. I'd forgotten that I had actually entered the contest, to tell you the truth. I had just gotten back from a backpacking trip, and Amy had been trying to get a hold of us for several days rather frantically, and was, calling my work and trying to track me down. And, I was very much out in the Shining Rock wilderness and away from things. And so I remember, we came back, and I got this phone call downstairs, and I had my DSL line on upstairs, so I couldn't hear anything when I answered the phone downstairs. And I thought it was a telemarketer anyway, so I hung it up. That telemarketer was persistent, called back. And so I do remember, all of a sudden, Amy introduces herself with Novella, and I start saying, wait a minute, I think I heard of these people before. So it was, again, it's completely stunning. It's completely stunning. When you work 20 years, towards a project, after a while it becomes, very strange to actually have the thing come to fruition.
Right. Well, we receive anywhere from 70 to 120 submissions each year. And it's a very laborious process to go through them and sort through what is going to be our winner. In any given year, there are probably 10 to 15 that are really very publishable. And if we're lucky, there is one that just has a little something special, a little something extra. And this past year, it was Cow Across America, because it had that combination where the whole is more than the sum of the parts. It had great storytelling, great characterizations, it had good pacing, it had beautiful descriptions, it had narrative tension, it had conflict. It had that kind of universal pull that we all feel when trying to define who we are, who we aren't, who we want to claim as our own, whether it's family or something beyond family, how we find our place in the world. And Dale has done it in this book in a very confident, enjoyable, and kind of memorable way. The story stays with you. Place and setting are very important, but less so than good storytelling. The story is what drives our decision to publish something. It has to have what Dale's mentioned, that sort of elemental story to it that speaks to the kind of universal humanity.
I kind of fall, I guess, into Eudora Welty's camp when she started talking about, I saw her a number of years ago before she passed on, but she was talking about this idea, of course, of place. And place and character are, in some ways, almost synonymous. There's certain people who come out of certain places. And if you've been to a place and you've seen the people, I mean, you associate them so strongly. And for me, it is, the mountains of western North Carolina are very much like that. These people talk very much differently than folks in other parts. But a lot of that also has been lost, too. So a lot of this is, we remember, how it was. One thing is that, folks in where I come from in the mountains, we sort of generalize them all as Southerners, saying, they say y'all or whatever. They don't say y'all. The real old timers say youans. Youans lost. So all of a sudden you start hearing these voices coming out of a particular landscape. I'm very much struck by the Native Americans' idea that they are part of the land. They came out of the land, and so I think of this as not just a Western North Carolina book, because it does go cross country. It's an American book. They're swept up in the tall tales, up the Mississippi, and they're carried by tornadoes across the Great Plains. They fall into Indian graves, and they find a shortcut, in these tall tales through the bottom of the Grand Canyon, and they wind up in California. These are all places I've been to a certain degree, but more than that, the places I've imagined. I've imagined people who can walk through these places. So that's what fascinates me, is that no, it's not realistic. Obviously these tall tales didn't happen literally, but there is a certain truth to them. They become mythic in the way that I think books are like that. The stories that we tell each other, they are old myths and true in that way.
The Novello Festival of Reading is coming up in October at the Public Library of Charlotte and Mecklenburg County. Dale's book, Cow Across America, is going to be celebrated at Carolina Writers' Night on October 14th at Imaginon, which is the Joan and Joe Martin Theater in downtown Charlotte. It's a free event. We'll be celebrating all of Novella Press's books this year. Books will be available for purchase. There are also all sorts of other events taking place during Novello, and you can find out about them by going to novellofestival.org.